And all right, Hangouts live. So I apologize. I put it up live before I was quite ready because I didn't want anyone that might be watching on YouTube to think I wasn't coming. So hang on just for a sec. Let me put my lower third up and we'll get going. I was a guest on another Hangout right before this, and it started late, and I got off at 1. So this one, I think. No. It's not. I can not find the right one. So this is not private members coaching. We'll have to get those squared away. We'll call it that today. This is today's Speed to Profit Marketing Hangout. It's not my private member group coaching, and I apologize for the intermittent green nonsense that's going on in the background. There's not much I can do about that today. I just moved into my international office here in Edmonton, Alberta. I'll be up here for a few weeks, and having some glitches with technical stuff. First of all, it's slow. The internet's a bit slow, and so I hope I'm not coming across like gobbledygook, and if I am, I don't know what to do about that either. So, welcome. Speed to Profit Marketing. It's interesting. The Hangout I was just on was one that was talking about why we buy, and right up the marketing alley. And the example they used to start with was about Starbucks. And so then when I finally came on into the Hangout ways, we talked about what makes people buy, and it goes right into today's, which is targeting the arrow of your message. And that is how to target that arrow so that it penetrates effectively. So Starbucks, of course, is a famous example that gets used all the time of someone that turned a 50-cent cup of coffee into a $5 experience. Not a $5 cup of coffee. It's turned into a $5 experience. And they did it by creating a mystique and an experience around the act of getting a cup of coffee. All they did effectively is put some flavoring in it, put some fancy cups in it, call it by some Italian names, and they make pretty good coffee. So the funny piece at that Hangout was the first question that got asked me when I finally was on there, because the two hosts, one was a pro Starbucks and one was not a coffee drinker, and so I had to take sides, which was unfortunate because I am not a Starbucks frequenter. I like some of their pastries, but I'm not a coffee drinker, so I wasn't going to be able to come down on the side of Starbucks as a product, but I certainly understand and come down on the side of Starbucks as a marketing tool and mechanism. So anyway, today, and every time I move, that does a dance in the background, so sorry about that. That picture, by the way, is a beautiful picture in British Columbia near Abbotsford, which is where I was this last Sunday. A glorious picture as we drove down the Coquihalla Freeway and into through from Alberta to over to British Columbia. Spectacular views. God does an amazing job creating the majesty of beauty everywhere you turn, and it is spectacular in terms of reach to your heart. So that has a lot to do with your targeting and your marketing, which is power and reach, and reaching to the heart. So let's talk about the purpose of today's Hangout. The purpose of today's Hangout is the arrow of your message. I use the word arrow of your message because it used to be that blast advertising, sort of scattering advertising all around, was effective. And you saw that in billboards. We still see that in billboards some. You see it in newspaper advertising, television advertising, to the extent, just primetime TV advertising. That's kind of blast, and radio is blast advertising. Everyone that's listening will just tell you the same message, and hopefully some of the program are interested in some degree of targeting, because a person who sells certain products is only going to buy advertising on shows that likely those kind of people listen to. You advertisers bars, so you can do that. A television program that late night TV probably isn't going to advertise diapers for sale, because late night TV isn't likely to have a demographic that's diaper friendly. So you pick them that way. But blast advertising still isn't very effective, especially when really, really powerful advertising is available that is very, very targeted, which is why I'm using the word arrow, the arrow of your message. Now, before I get any further, I need to, Joyce put in the comment thing that I sound good. So I apologize for that strange background thing that keeps happening. There's nothing I can do about it, so I'm not going to mention it again. It'll just be an artifact that we have to deal with, and I apologize. I'll have it fixed by next week. So the arrow of your message is the specifics that you wrap into your message to reach certain people. Think about that. The arrow of your message are the specifics that you wrap into your message to reach certain people. So let's talk about some examples. Okay, let's say we target organic pet food. So who are you targeting? First of all, pet lovers, people that have pets. Second of all, you're targeting people that care more about their pets than the average, because they're willing to spend extra money, because organic products typically cost a little bit more, sometimes a lot more. You're targeting people that are willing to do whatever it takes for their pets. The advertisers on that show, in addition to you, are also probably thinking the same thing. So the message of that kind of advertising would be to pet lovers, to people that care very much about their pets, who might spend money on veterinarians and doctors and other kinds of things to keep their pets healthy. You wouldn't have car parts advertisers next to you, probably, because it's just the wrong demographic, right? Okay, so that's an example of targeted advertising. Now let's take that one way further. Suppose you could craft a message for pet lovers about organic pet food and have it only show up in front of people who own pets and who are willing to spend money on taking care of their pets. Suppose that kind of advertising you could do. You could target people that only were in that tiny little demographic. Now that would be a very, very sharp arrow. So you'd be advertising your organic pet food only in front of pet people who care about their pets and are willing to spend money. So your likely conversion rate would be much higher, because you're only talking to people that care about that. That'd be like if you had something to do with dentures. Like last night on TV, I saw a Polygrip commercial, which is that old glue that you put, you glue your dentures in with, right? Well, if you're talking to people who don't have dentures, that's not a very interesting commercial, and so there's a high likelihood that lots of people watching primetime television last night, and I don't remember the show because I didn't watch it, but I did see a commercial on Polygrip, and I walked by, thought there's a perfect example of blast advertising, where a very small percentage of the number of people who see that ad actually need Polygrip and care about that. On the other hand, if you had a show and you could target people who all had dentures and who all had that problem, then you'd have a much higher likelihood. So that's the first thing to think about marketing today, is that you have the ability, I'll say it again, you have the ability to target specifically people who need your specific product. So Manny is on here right now. I don't know if he can hear me or not. I think his picture may be frozen, but oh no, he's there. So Manny, you have a similar situation where you're targeting a very specific group of people. So tell me a little bit about those people. Who are you specifically targeting?
I'm targeting physician entrepreneurs, and those are physicians who think beyond just medical practice to delivering wellness to their patients through entrepreneurship.
Okay, so that's really a good example. So his target is physicians, but more than that, physicians who have thought, in addition to seeing patients and diagnosing illness and prescribing actions or pills or whatever, there is another piece of this where I could do more good, perhaps make more money, build a better lifestyle, and do more than I started out to do. And he knows, because, man, he's thought about this, some very specific things about those people. Now, he's going to create some products and do some stuff around that demographic. But the point is, there's 2 points here. First of all, he knows, and I knew he was able to say that. So he's able to say right now specifically who he's targeting. It's not accountants, it's not lawyers, it's not engineers, it's not CEOs, it's not HR people, it's not housewives, it's not teenagers, it's not a whole bunch of other groups that I could list. It is specifically people who have graduated from medical school, who are practicing medicine right now, and who have a vision and a future that there are other possibilities. And in addition, as a further qualifying factor, physicians who have a streak of entrepreneurism in them that think maybe there's another business that they can build. And that segregates it even further, because there's lots of people that are professionals, lawyers, accountants, and doctors who are not good entrepreneurs, who are not particularly good business people, who would not be an avatar for Manny, who is targeting about how to create a business and do some other stuff. They'd have to partner with someone who could do the business aspects of it. So see, in that particular example, you've nailed way, way, way down and thrown out a huge portion of the population that you do not need to talk to, you do not need to find. You do not need to language anything around them, because they are not going to buy your product, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's an example. So the first thing we talked about, and Joy, you have some people that you're targeting too. Specifically, you have a couple of businesses that you've mentioned at other times, some skincare stuff and some entrepreneur work for people that sell businesses online. Why don't you pick one of those and talk to me about your specific avatar, who you are talking to when you market those products. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Joy. So it's not working. All right, so let's move on. I happen to know something about her, and so her skincare avatar is women of a certain age, and I'm not going to pretend to be mouth for her business, because I'm not. But she targets women of a certain age who want to do certain things with their skin, and she's very clear and specific about that. So she's able to craft specific messaging, which is what today's avatar or lesson or hangout is about. So the first thing I want you to write down as a takeaway, because all of these speed to profit marketing hangouts are supposed to be something that you can take and make money with in the next few days. If you do not have a specific description of who you market to, age, demographic, how much income they have, how much education they have, what business do they have, what hobbies do they have, not all of these questions will be applicable in all situations, but they might be. And so if you do not have a very specific written description of your ideal client, the person that is an absolute perfect match for what you have, your product or service, then you need to make sure that you do that right away. So that's the first thing that you do. The second thing that you do has to do with the message, which is the topic of today's hangout. If your marketing is not talking face-to-face to those people, then you need to work on revamping the message. Okay, so I could talk to people, speed to profit marketing is what we're talking about today. I could talk to people that are in business or that are business people and use business language like profit margin and earnings before income or income taxes and all of those kinds of accounting terms, and my message would be watered down and would not be very effective. On the other hand, if I'm talking to an entrepreneur, I can ask a very specific question. Are you an entrepreneur? Do you have the number of clients that you want? Are you getting the types of clients that you want? Very simply. If the answer is yes, you're an entrepreneur, no, you don't have all the clients you want, and no, you're not getting the right kinds of clients or not enough of them, then we can talk. Because I have some things that are very specifically targeted for you to attract more and the right kind of clients. And so then we would have a conversation. But I can figure that out, and you can too as a potential client, in just 2 or 3 questions. It takes 10 or 15 seconds. And then all of the rest of the world can go do whatever they're going to do, because we're not going to have a conversation right now. And that's really good. All right, so I said I would give you some questions that will help you uncover your ideal target, that will help you figure out who that is. So the first question is, okay, Joyce says, not sorry, your mic's not working. I don't know, but I couldn't hear you when you, I could see your mouth moving, but no sound was coming through the the system. Anyway, so the first question is, do you know who they are? Do you know exactly who your ideal client is, the one that would be perfectly suited for your business? Good. The next question you need to ask is, do you know what their fears, frustrations, needs, desires, and fantasies are? Can you list what are their needs, desires, fears, frustrations, and fantasies? What are they afraid of? What keeps them awake at night? What makes them nervous? What makes them feel like failure might happen? And their desires and fantasies, what would the ideal state look like? So let me give you an example of what I do when I talk to entrepreneurs. I say, imagine running your business in only 20 to 30 hours a week and being able to do that by remote control, so you could actually run your business from not on site, not on the shop, from anywhere in the world. So as an example, I use myself. I am running my coaching business, traveling. I am running it now from a foreign country. I have run it from all over the world. I have clients all over the world. So that's an example. So that would be a statement of my ideal situation. So do you know, and can you write down what would be the ideal situation for your ideal client? Now, you may not know for all of them, but you can craft a composite. And one of the first questions you ask your potential clients is, what would be your ideal situation? What you'll find is most of the time they don't know. They cannot describe it very well. They might say something like, well, I'm making a lot of money. Okay, good. Does that mean you're working 1 billion hours a week to make? Well, no, I don't really want to work 1 billion hours a week. Well, how many hours a week are you working? You get an answer. Are you tied to your desk? Do you have to go into the office every day? Do you have to answer all the orders yourself? Or do you how much of the business do you actually handle? And so you ask a bunch of questions, and pretty soon you can narrow it down and help them figure out, well, if I really had a Harry Potter wand, what I would really like is fill in the blank. Well, then you actually start having a goal, because if you don't know how many hours a week they want to work, what they want that work to look like, some people enjoy the technical parts of their business. Some people enjoy the client interface parts of their business. Some people enjoy the after-the-fact service. It depends on the business, it depends on the client, and it depends on the entrepreneur. So getting those pieces nailed down and in writing for you so that you can continually review them is a key piece of targeting the arrow of your message. Targeting the arrow of your message. So those are the questions that will help you uncover your ideal target. First of all, take a guess at who they are. Second, write down what their fears, frustrations, needs, desires, and fantasies are. And third, what would the ideal situation for them look like? And when you can language that really easily, when you can language it really powerfully and really well, then you can start to have a conversation. And so I'll tell you what happens. When you do that, and you're able to language that really well, they immediately start to have a bond with you. This person gets me. They understand what I'm doing. So, example, in Manny's case with the doctor, they know he's an MD already, so they would know already, well, the guy knows about medical school. He went, he graduated, he got his degree, so he's a practicing doctor. He's got all that already. And as soon as he starts getting questions about, well, would you like to be able to do more with your medical practice than just pop pills, dispense pills? Would you like to be able to help people in more holistic and comprehensive ways? Then the guy's like, well, yeah, he's reading my mind. I mean, yeah, I want to do that. Well, would you like to know how to organize a business around that? And then he can create a deductive statement that's like, imagine, Mr. MD, being able to run your business from Costa Rica while you're on vacation, and at the same time providing full service and high-end, powerful products and services to your ideal client wherever they are. Now, Manny's is to help doctors do that. The doctors may not be trying to do that. They may think, all right, I'm a real expert in arthritic pain, and so I have not only pills, but I have a whole bunch of systems and techniques and things that I have learned over my years and my research that I can help people with that. So I can create some products, and I can create some services around arthritic pain. I can create some websites with some really good advice. I can have products and services that I can sell people. I can have a once-a-week hangout that I can hold from anywhere and have weird green backgrounds like I do. and I can teach whatever I need to teach my clients about that, and I can do that while I'm vacationing in Bali. Oh, now that's a whole different picture. So then this guy starts thinking, all right, if this guy can teach me how to do that, where do I sign up? Because now I'm seeing a vision of me on a beach in Bali teaching people who know that I know how to get rid of this arthritic pain. And I made all that whole thing up. And I'm going to ask Manny now to think out loud about a real one, because that's an imaginary one. But I don't think it's too far from a possibility. So Manny, what would you suggest could be a replacement scenario?
I'm still on that beach in Bali, but I think it's close. In my case, an ideal scenario that for me that I would look for people with a like appreciation for is: would you like to be able to travel the world with your family while using your expertise in medicine to help your patients, one-to-many model feel better? And a lot of people understand the model of one-to-many healthcare.
All right, so that's perfect. He didn't get down specific about what that would be, but that help that was offered would be different for each one of his potential clients. I made up one on arthritis. He could have one on gastrointestinal problems, or heartburn, or earaches. Who knows? Whatever it is, the model of being able to do the help that they provide. The key pieces are from anywhere in the world, traveling with your family, enjoying it, while still doing the good that you thought you were going to do when you signed up to be a doctor. Does that sound right?
Yep, sure does.
All right, he's nodding. All right, good. So that's the first one. The second piece, I gotta hurry. All right, learn the deadly trap that you need to avoid now, and that's really simple. Don't think that you know everything that your client wants. Ask questions. You have to do the market research, and you have to really get the language and the pieces that you want. So Manny is thinking traveling the world with family. Well, somebody might not want to travel the world. They might actually want to have a long bunch of time to pursue their career or their interest in ornithology and bird watching, and they might want to take exotic vacations to the northwest woods of North America and sit there for 15 hours a day with binoculars and a camera watching birds. And that might be their ideal thing. So thinking that we know the answer is a deadly mistake, because as soon as you start telling someone the wrong answer, they're like, okay, this douchebag doesn't have a clue what I want. Off. And then they quit listening to you right away. And so asking the questions first. So the deadly mistake is talking before you ask. The deadly mistake is talking before you ask. Now, if you do marketing research in general, Manny or me, I'll use me for example instead of picking on him, but I can say, look, I know that entrepreneurs want to attract the number and types of clients that are ideal. I might say, would you love to stop attracting clients to your business that are a pain to deal with, that are tire kickers, that only go for your low-end products and have a high return rate? Well, no entrepreneur in the world is going to say, no, I love those clients. Please send me all the ones with a high return rate that only do tire kicking, that are high maintenance, and that make me hate my job. No one's going to want that. So there's some general things that I can say that I know that. But the minute I start talking one-on-one, the first thing I do is shut up. I ask questions so that the advice and help that I'm giving them as an advisor is powerful and good. Right? So the deadly mistake is thinking you know before you ask. The third thing is how to keep your message arrow sharp, and that is to continually refine it. There are sets of changes that are happening all the time. There are sociological changes, there are economic changes, and there are technological changes. The fact that we're doing a Hangout despite the green background, or the green flashing stuff, neon, whatever that was, despite that, the fact that I'm doing this from Canada and I can record it effectively and you can watch it later, and that you can put some notes down in the comments section and you can argue with me, or you can talk back and forth and exchange greater value with other participants who watch this later. Those technologies didn't even exist 15 minutes ago, or 15 months, or a couple of years ago. So all of this technology changes, enhances the ability of all of us to do the kinds of business and to do the kinds of marketing and to do the kinds of targeting that I'm talking about. So for example, graph search on Facebook. You can now target down to specific interests, specific geographic locations, not to mention gender and age and education, and just narrow targeting. Again, only talking to those people who care about what you're talking about, and you're advertising. And the technology change, it allows you to do one-to-many like Manny talked about, in the relatively new innovation and powerful as well. So there are also economic trends. For example, there was the huge recession that took place a few years ago that not only caused people to lose their job, but completely changed the shape of the employment spectrum. The kinds of jobs that we have completely changed. Graphic designers, I have some friends that were graphic designers. They got out of work. They were looking for another graphic design job so they could have another $60,000 or $70,000 or $80,000 a year job doing what they were needed to do before. And the answer is that those jobs simply didn't exist anymore. Okay. All right, buddy. Thanks. Man, he's got to take off. That's fine. We need to be done anyway. So that's how you keep your message arrow sharp, is take advantage of the technological, sociological, and economic changes. Do your research and keep it fresh. Keep it fresh and keep it moving. So I really appreciate those that have watched today. I appreciate those that put in comments down below. I'll get the right overlay for next time, but I decided to just go ahead and do it. I've got the wrong overlay, and I've got this background nonsense. Oh, even my fingers are kind of green. I don't know what that is. Anyway, we'll get that all fixed for next week. Thanks for hanging in there. Thank you all for being here today. Speed to Profit Marketing. Ignore the glitches. Focus more on getting your avatar arrow sharp. Focus more on crafting your message so that you speak right to the emotional heart of the person you're talking to. Focus more on learning to listen rather than talk so that you actually answer the problems that your clients have or your potential clients. Speak to one, talk to many is the old adage. Listen a lot more than you talk. Those are old, tried and true marketing powerhouse statements. Thanks again for attending our short Speed to Profit Marketing Hangout this week. We will be back next time with another episode of Speed to Profit Marketing. Until then.